Now, before we get into the review, we have to address the elephant in the room. We have to address the Jim Cornette controversy. During the Nick Aldis versus Trevor Murdoch opening match of the show, Cornette said the following line when referring to Trevor Murdoch, quote, "He's the only man I've ever known who can strap a bucket of fried chicken on his back and ride a motor scooter across Ethiopia," end quote. Wow, I know, right? I mean, where do you start? I mean, this isn't a live show. This is taped. These NWA Power shows were taped at the end of September, start of October. That's 7 weeks ago. I mean, how this made it to the air should have an inquest to itself. But Jim Cornette should be ashamed. End of. That's offensive stereotypes in so many ways. I mean, just for a cheap laugh, for a throwaway line. Not only should the NWA apologise, but so should Cornette. At this time of recording, I don't think he's made a comment on it. But he's a divisive character enough as it is. But that's a step too far. It's not funny, period. At a time when there's so much divisive tension in society, I and we all don't need this archaic, lowbrow dinosaur humour in our wrestling show. Just because you've gone back in time to studio wrestling doesn't make it acceptable to repeat lines used in the 50s and 60s. And I'm also frankly stunned that they, the NWA, left it in the show, to which they should also be ashamed by. This isn't a case of, it slipped through the cracks, No, it's a tape show with tape segments, which sometimes they take the segments out of order and then put them together in post-production. You would have had to have watched the episode at least a handful of times, and therefore whoever edited this would have assumed that it was an okay line fit for broadcast. Well, it wasn't. It was just inappropriate. It's no place in society, let alone pro wrestling. NWA Vice President David Lagana tweeted, quote, "On tonight's episode of NWA Power, airing November 19th, 2019, one of our talents made comments which some viewers found offensive. We deeply regret the error and apologise. We have temporarily taken down the programme while we correct this error," end quote. Now, Lagana didn't mention Cornette there by name, but when they took the programme down and put it back up, the Cornette line was edited out, so it obviously was Jim Cornette there. And I think the reason they didn't mention his name most likely is they're trying to save face here, really. They're trying to apologise without exposing too much what Cornette has said, because the line is truly that bad. But an apology isn't enough here. Action needs to be taken. And I'm one of the people that actually likes Cornette. I find him entertaining as hell. I love his shoots he's done in the past with kayfabe commentaries, and just, that Jim Cornette character. It's great. It's entertaining. But when he says things like this, or some of the other statements he's made in the past on social media, it's not okay. And the more we let him off with he's just a grumpy old man Cornette, that's just his character, then we're enabling that kind of unacceptable behaviour. Now, whether or not Cornette appears at the pay-per-view Into the Fire on December 14 and the following TV tapings, we'll have to wait and see. My guess is that after a series of polarising and ignorant statements on social media as of late, this may be one controversy too far for James E. And he only has himself to blame. And it's a shame, it really is, because these NWA Power shows have been terrific. But if you look on Twitter, and as you'll see at the end of this video, from our followers at least, it soured the programme for many. Now, as I touched on, the NWA temporarily pulled the latest episode of the show because of the comment made by Jim Cornette. However, the show is now back on their YouTube channel with that offensive remark edited out. And, Cornette recently likes, not just recently, throughout however long he's been Jim Cornette, he likes to criticise certain wrestlers for the outlaw mud show type performances. You hear him talk about Joey Janela and Darby Allin, Joey Ryan. Well, This is a prime example of outlaw mud show outdated bullshit commentary. NWA, Jim Cornette, you should be ashamed.